We've lost the moment to decide whether to hook our most powerful AI to everything because it's already being built more or less in contact, if not everything, so many things that you just can't put the genie back in the bottle.
If I had to put you in a yes or no situation and ask your intuition the question now, that if your objective was to encourage the betterment of humanity and to increase our odds of happiness and well-being 100 years from now, and there was a button placed in front of you, and it would either end the development of artificial intelligence as we've seen it over the last decade, so it would never proceed with developing intelligent machines, or not. So you could press a button and stop it right now.
Stop it permanently such that we never then do that thing? We just never figure out how to build intelligent machines?
Pause it indefinitely.
Well, I would definitely pause it.
You just heard from Sam Harris, neuroscientist and philosopher, and he's not talking about something coming in 50 years. He's saying the window to make a decision about all of this has already closed, and we were not even paying attention when it did. Here's the full warning.
There is something inherently dangerous for the dumber party in that relationship. There's something inherently dangerous for the dumber species to be in presence of the smarter species. And we have seen this based on our entanglement with all other species, dumber than we are, right? Or certainly less competent than we are. And reasoning by analogy, it would be true of something smarter than we are. People imagine that because we have built these machines, that is no longer true. Right. But here's where my intuition goes from there. That imagination is born of not taking intelligence seriously, right? Because what intelligence is, a mismatch in intelligence in particular, is a fundamental lack of insight into what the smarter party is doing and why it's doing it and what it will do next on the part of the dumber party, right? So, I mean, you just could imagine that by analogy, just imagine that dogs had invented us as their super intelligent AIs, right? For the purpose of making their lives better, just securing resources for them, securing comfort for them, getting them medical attention. It's been working out pretty well for the dogs for about 10,000 years, right? I mean, there's some exceptions. We mistreat certain dogs, but generally speaking, for most dogs, most of the time, humans have been a great invention, right? Now, it's true that the mismatch in our intelligence dictates fundamental blindness with respect to what we've become in the meantime, right? So we have all these instrumental goals and things we care about that they cannot possibly conceive, right? They know that when we go get the leash and say it's time for a walk, they understand that particular part of the language game. But everything else we do when we're talking to each other on our computers or on our phones, they don't have the dimmest idea of what we're up to. And if something happened, if truth is we love our dogs, we make irrational sacrifices for our dogs, we prioritize their health over all kinds of things that is just amazing to consider. And yet, if we learned, if there was a new, global pandemic kicking off and some xenovirus was jumping from dogs to humans and it was just kind of super Ebola, right? It was 90% lethal. And this was just a forced choice between them. What do you value more, your lives of your dogs or the lives of your kid, right? If that's a situation we were in, it's totally conceivable. I mean, it's not by no means impossible. We would just kill all the dogs, right? And they would never know why, right? And it's because we have this layer of mind and culture and just the noosphere, right? This realm of mind that requires a requisite level of intelligence to even be party to even know exists, that they have no idea it exists, right? And so this is a fanciful analogy because the dogs did not invent us, but evolution invented us.
Guys, Sam is basically saying the history of intelligence on this planet has one consistent outcome. The smarter thing wins and the dumber thing has no idea why. We were the smarter thing for a long time. Now we are building something that flips that, and we are using the same brain that the dogs use to figure out the leash. Listen to this.
I mean, one thing that's been amazing about developments in recent months is that those of us who have been at all cognizant of the AI safety space for, now going on a decade or more for some people, always assumed that as we got closer to the end zone, that the labs would become more circumspect. We'd be building this stuff air-gapped from the internet. Like we thought this was a thing, like thing would be in a box. And then the question would be, well, do we let it out of the box and let it do something, right? Like, is it safe? And how do we know if it's safe, right? And we thought we would have that moment. We thought it would happen in a lab at Google or at Facebook or somewhere. We thought we would hear, okay, we've got something really impressive, and now we just want it to touch the stock market, or we want it to touch our medical data, or we just want to see if we can use it. We're way past that, right? We built this stuff already in the wild. It's already connected to the internet. It's already got millions of people using it. It already has APIs. It's already doing work. So that, from an AI safety point of view, it's amazing. Like we didn't even have the choice point we thought was going to be so fraught.
Of course
right?
we didn't. We because there was such pressing incentives for people to press forward regardless of that conversation, especially.
But everyone thought, I don't believe I was ever in conversation with someone like Eliezer Yudkowsky or Nick Bostrom or Stuart Russell, who assumed we would be in this spot. Like I'd have to go back and look at those conversations. But there was so much time spent, it seems quite unnecessarily, on this idea that we'd make a certain amount of progress and circumspection would kick in. Like even the people who were doubters would become worried, and there would be, like in the final yards, as we go cross into the end zone, there'd be some mode where we could sort of slow down and figure it out and try to deal with the arms race dynamics. Like let's place a phone call to China and just like let's talk about this. We got something interesting, but the stuff is already being built in connection to everything, and there's already just endless businesses being devised on the back of this thing, and all the improvements are going to get plowed into it. And so just imagine what this looks like even in success, right? Like let's say it starts working wonders for us and we get these great productivity gains, and okay, so then we cross into whatever the singularity is, right? At whatever speed we find ourselves in the presence of something that is truly general. After all of this narrow stuff, albeit superhuman narrow stuff, is something that we totally depend on, right? Like every hospital requires it, and every airplane requires it, and all of our missile systems require it, and this is the way we do business. There's nothing to turn off at that point. I mean, I put this to Mark Andreessen on my podcast, and he said, yeah, you can turn off the internet. I can't believe he was quite serious. I mean, yes, if you're North Korea, I guess you can turn off the internet for North Korea, and that's why North Korea is like North Korea. But the idea that the cost of turning off the internet now, I think it would be unimaginable. Just the economic cost alone. So anyway, the idea that we've lost the moment to decide whether to hook our most powerful AI to everything because it's already being built more or less in contact, if not everything, so many things that you just can't put the genie back in the bottle.
See, the whole debate around AI safety assumed there would be a pause, a threshold, a moment where we stood at the door and decided. That never happened. We walked straight through the door without noticing, and now the thing we are debating is already running half the systems we depend on to stay alive. Listen to this.
I think within the next 12 months or 2 years, let's say whatever GPT-5 is, we're going to be in the presence of something where most of what's online that purports to be information could soon be fake. Where just most of the text you find on any topic is just fake, right? Like someone has just decided, write me 1,000 journal articles on why mRNA vaccines cause cancer and give me, 150 citations, write them in the style of Nature and Nature Genetics and Lancet and JAMA, and just put them out there, right? One teenager could do that in 5 minutes with the right AI. GPT-4 is not quite that, but GPT-5 possibly will be that. I mean, it's like that is such a near-term advance. Just when you imagine knitting together the visual stuff like Midjourney and DALL-E and Stable Diffusion with a large language model, just imagine the tool. Maybe this is 18 months away, maybe it's 3 years away, but it's not 30 years away. The tool where you can just say, give me a 45-minute documentary on how the Holocaust never happened, filled with archival imagery, give me Hitler speaking in German with the appropriate translations, and give it in the style of Alex Gibney or Ken Burns, and give me 10,000 of those, right? That's all the friction for misinformation has been taken out of the system. And yeah, I worry we're just going to have to declare bankruptcy with respect to the internet. We just are not going to be able to figure out what's real. When you look at how hard that is now with social media in the aftermath of COVID and Trump, and how just the challenge of holding an election that most of the population agrees was valid. That challenge already is on the verge of being insurmountable in the US. I mean, it's just it's easy to see us failing at that, AI aside. Now, when you add large language models to that and the more competent future version of it, where it's just the most compelling deepfakes are indistinguishable from, real data, and everyone is siloed into their tribes where they're stigmatizing the information that comes from any other tribe. And the internet is now so big a place that there really isn't the ordinary selection pressures where bad information gets successfully debunked so that it goes away. It's just you can live in a conspiracy cult for the rest of your life.
And this is where Sam stops talking about AGI and starts talking about next year. Not one group of researchers flooding the internet with fake studies, but one teenager with a laptop. That's the level we are already at, and the systems to detect or stop any of it basically do not exist yet. Listen to this.
Forget about everything we just said about AI. Look at all of our legacy risks. Look at the risk of stumbling into a nuclear war by accident has been hanging over our head for 70 years. I mean, we've got this old tech. We've got wonky radar systems that throw up errors. We have moments in history where one Soviet sub-commander decided, based on his just gut feeling, his common sense, that the data almost certainly in error, and he decided not to pass the obvious evidence of an American ICBM launch up the chain of command, knowing that the chain of command would say, okay, you have to fire. And he reasoned that if the US was going to attack the Soviet Union, they would launch more than, I think in this case, it looked like there were 4 missiles. That was the radar signature. If the US is going to launch a first strike against the Soviet Union, this was like the mid 80s, they're going to launch more than 4 missiles. This has to be bad data, right? So if we automate all this, will we automate it to systems that have that kind of common sense, right? We've been perched on the edge of the abyss based on this, but forget about malevolent actors who might decide to have a nuclear war on purpose. We have the possibility of accidental nuclear war. You add this cacophony of misinformation and deep fake to all of that, and it just gets scarier and scarier. And this is not even AI. This is just narrow AI amplified misinformation.
How do you feel about it?
Well, this is the thing that worries me. I worry about the next election. If we can run the 2024 election in a way that most of America acknowledges was valid, that will be an amazing victory. Whatever the outcome. I would not be looking forward to a Trump presidency, but I think even more fundamental than that is, can we hold a presidential election 18 months from now that we recognize as valid? I don't know what kind of resources are being spent on that particular performance, but that is hugely important. And I don't think our near-term experiments with AI is going to make that easier.
Why is it so important?
Well, it's just, if you think the maintenance of a valid democracy in the world's lone superpower is of minor importance, I'd like to drink the tea you're drinking.
Are you optimistic?
I can't say I'm optimistic. It's a paradoxical state. I tend to focus on what's wrong or might be wrong. I tend to, I think, have a pessimistic bias. I tend to notice what's wrong as opposed to what's right. That's my bias. But I'm actually very happy, right? Like I have a very good life. I'm just like everything is, I'm incredibly lucky. I'm surrounded by great people. It's all great. And yet I see all of these risks on the horizon. So I have a very high degree of well-being at this moment in my life. And yet what's on the television is scary. And so it's a very interesting juxtaposition. I feel like we're in a very weird spot. I haven't seen a full postmortem on the COVID pandemic that has fully encapsulated what I think happened to us there. But my vague sense is that we didn't learn a whole hell of a lot. Basically what we learned is we're really bad at responding to this kind of thing. This was a challenge that just fragmented us as a society. It could have brought us together. It didn't. And it amplified all of the divisions in our society, politically and economically and tribally and all kinds of ways. The role of misinformation and disinformation and all of that was all too clear, and I think just getting worse. So I think, as a dress rehearsal for some future pandemic that's inevitably going to come and could well be worse,
one person made a judgment call in 1983 and saved every person alive on this planet today. Sam's point is that the thing stopping nuclear war that night was a human being trusting his gut over bad data. Now we are adding AI-generated fake footage into that exact scenario. I genuinely don't know how that ends well. Now listen.
If your objective was to, which I'm sure it is to encourage the betterment of humanity and to increase our odds of happiness and well-being 100 years from now, and there was a button placed in front of you, and it would either end the development of artificial intelligence as we've seen it over the last decade, so it would never proceed with developing intelligent machines, or not. So you could press a button and stop it right now. What would you do?
And stop it permanently such that we never then do that thing? We just never figure out how to build intelligent machines?
Pause it indefinitely.
Well, I would definitely pause it. To a point where we would get our heads around the alignment problem. Yes.
Permanently. If the button was a permanent pause that you couldn't undo.
Well, the question is, how deep does that go? So we have everything we have now, but it just never gets better than.
Yeah, we never make progress from here.
Right.
And your objective is to make humanity happy and prosperous.
It's hard because when you begin imagining all of the good stuff that we could get with aligned superhuman AI, well, then it's just cornucopia upon cornucopia. It's just everything is potentially within reach. Yeah, I mean, I take the existential risk scenario seriously enough that I would pause it. If curing cancer is a biomedical engineering problem that admits of a solution, and I think there's every reason to believe it ultimately would be, we will eventually get there based on our own muddling along with our current level of tech, information tech. I'm reasonably confident of that, because I mean, our intelligence shows every sign of being general. It's just not as fast as we would want it to be. It's not the thing that AI is going to give us is going to give us speed, and then there's the access, there's memory. No person or team of people can integrate all of the data we already have. The real promise here is that these systems will be able to find patterns that we wouldn't even know how to look for, and then do something on the basis of those patterns. I think an intelligent search within the data space by apes like ourselves will eventually do most of the great things we want done. And the problems we need to solve so as to safeguard the career of our species and to make civilization durable and sane, and to remove this sword of Damocles that is over our heads at every moment, that at any moment we could just decide to have a nuclear war that ruins everything, or create an engineered pandemic that ruins everything. We don't need superhuman intelligence to solve all those problems. We need an appropriate emotional response to the untenability of the status quo, and we need a political dialogue that eventually transcends our tribalism.
So Sam Harris, someone who has been tracking this for over a decade, says if the button existed, he would press it. Not because AI cannot do extraordinary things, but because there is no real reason to believe these systems will stay pointed in our direction once they are capable of rewriting themselves. And the uncomfortable reality is that no one anywhere near that button shares that view. The labs are running faster than anyone can regulate. The money is bigger than any government has the will to challenge. And the cautious window that researchers thought would come before all of this got serious just never arrived. We are having this conversation after the fact. If any part of that unsettles you, subscribe, because this is not slowing down.